Welcome to the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast. Tune in every Thursday as we share inspirational stories from the world's greatest creators, entrepreneurs, and go-getters about how they've turned life's lemons into lemonade. And now, here's your host of Lemonade Stand Stories, Jasen Wade.
What's going on, guys? This is Jasen Wade with the Lemonade Stand podcast, and I'm here with my dear buddy, Mr. Corbin Allred.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you, Lemonade Stand.
Oh, man. The Lemonade Stand has been a dream in our lives, and they actually are making our dreams come true right now, which is very, very exciting.
Yep.
But, Corb, we got to rewind time a little bit and go back and share a little bit of our history, because you just mentioned that you hated getting headshots. Hate getting headshots. I hate getting headshots. But you are an actor, and you've been an actor for a very long time. In fact, when I met you, I was very starstruck by you, I will be honest. I was very nervous because we met...
Because I'm intimidating?
Incredibly intimidating.
Physically imposing?
So physically imposing. You kill people with your eyes,
yep.
Which is a very accurate statement. But no, dude, we've been friends for, gosh, man, since 2000.
Yeah.
That's when I met you.
Yeah. 20 plus years.
20 plus years. 2 decades ago. And we met because we served LDS missions together. And it was funny because, and I don't think you knew this about me, before my mission, I was very interested and kind of intrigued at the possibility of acting. I had a little bit of that, right? But I really didn't do much with it. I mean, I went to BYU and I wasn't studying any of that. But it just excited me to think about stuff like that. And I remember as a kid growing up, 80s and 90s, TGIF was my jam. That's what I watched, right? And so
Friday nights,
and there were the lineup of shows always changed. And when I first started watching it, there was a show called Perfect Strangers that was on. And I love Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, Step by Step.
I watched all
those shows, right? But then they kept changing as the years went on, and one of the shows that was on was a show called Teen Angel, and I actually watched that show. I watched several episodes of it. So to be on a mission and to hear that one of our leaders that's going to be over us as missionaries was the guy that was in Teen Angel, I was shocked. I was just my mind couldn't comprehend what I was hearing, because I knew this was a big. The fact that I was in Australia was amazing.
Yeah.
But
why would that guy be on a mission?
To think that guy would be on a mission and that guy would be my leader and I'd be associating with him, I legit was very nervous. And I wasn't sure which of the two was going to be Teen Angel was going to be, but man, it was so great. Most
likely the Latter-day Saint one.
I guess it was.
Turned out to
be that one. But no, we had such great times, and I remember we never served as companions, but whenever we would get together and go on our exchanges and stuff, it was so much fun. But we both knew very quickly we should never actually serve together, because if we did nothing.
We worked hard though.
We worked hard.
But
it was just one of those things where we got along so well. We had so much fun the whole time, and yeah, it was great.
Hopefully that apprehension and being nervous or intimidated didn't last very long. I don't think it did. I think the second we started hanging out, it was good times.
It was such good times, man. Yeah.
It was going to be. You have to find the fun.
Yeah.
The fun in the work, and
absolutely,
and we had a blast.
We really did. Fun. And we had some really good times, and I just remember some of the fun things that we did, and some of the fun people we met. But I remember thinking, and this is a very, I don't know if you would want to call it a foreshadowing type of thought, but there was a service project that we did. I don't think you would remember at all, but we were goofing around. I don't even know what we were doing, pretending that we were not missionaries. We were pretending we were in some scene in some movie or something we would do. And I remember thinking, gosh, I would love to keep in touch with Corbin after and work with him again in the future. I didn't think that would actually happen, but I just thought that would be so cool to work with him in some capacity or be in a movie with him and stuff. All things which are happening and have already happened.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
It's been crazy, but
2 decades later, there was this kind of round, Sharon, we because I had the same, you connect with certain people on your mission. And, you'd love to say, well, I'd love to stay connected with everybody that I serve with. It just doesn't happen.
No.
But there are those those few that kind of plant a seed in your life, and they represent, somebody really important to you. And that's, I think, the relationship that we had. But, you get back in time and distance,
sure,
just changes. And, I was in LA and we kind of like overlapped. Sharon came back and he established this, really awesome film career and just career in the entertainment industry in general. Everyone knows Sharon Prabhakar, everyone. And, wonderful reputation amongst people. But we never had the opportunity to work with each other. I took a little hiatus from film and I went and jumped into healthcare, and I had a passion for medicine that I wanted to make sure I pursued to some degree. But it came back around, and now it's like, we would go, we'd talk to each other a couple times a year for 20 years or whatever.
If that.
And then now, I don't know, we text each other 100 times a day. Like, I don't
know.
Dude,
it is the craziest thing.
We have so many things going on.
So many things going on.
Great
and
things.
We're going to definitely talk about that. But it's interesting because I don't know how that happened other than when we met at that premiere Out of Liberty in 2019.
That was big, yeah.
And that was like a really good day for us. But it was interesting because our lives would kind of cross paths, and we would have like certain groups of friends that oh, you know those people, I know those people. But it was very interesting. And we can reminisce more on that. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Lemonade Stand podcast being like your first lemonade stand story, or you becoming a creator and doing these things. And so let's go rewind time back to your first venture into, I guess, performing. Because I remember it wasn't even acting, right? It was first clogging.
Yeah, I was a dancer. Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes. So I, growing up in Utah, I didn't have, especially then, this is back, early 90s.
Sure.
And Utah, there were some film projects that would come, casting would come through Utah or Salt Lake City, but there really wasn't a Utah film industry or film scene really happening.
Sure.
At least to my knowledge at that point. And acting was not even on my radar. It wasn't even something I thought you could do. That was something that happened in Hollywood. It was, it happened in New York. And it was just a different world. And so that wasn't even on my radar, but performing was something I loved. And ever since I was really little, I loved pretending. In fact, I'd play with my Legos or my G.I. Joes, or I'd play Army or play guns down at the, at the woods behind my house. And it was hard because I was kind of one of those kids who often played by myself when I was being imaginative, mainly because I wanted control over the world.
Okay.
And so in this imaginative world I was creating, if I involved somebody else, they would like take my story somewhere I didn't want them to take it. Okay. And so I'd be like, I have to play by myself because I'm directing this world. I'm in control of these characters. Yeah. And so I played alone a lot. And it wasn't until I was actually, a friend of mine got involved in clogging. In fact, I was over at his house, we were hanging out, and his mom was like, hey, you've got clogging in an hour. And I'm like, clogging? What's clogging, Yeah. And he's like, well, I gotta go, and then it's only gonna last an hour, and then we can hang out afterwards. So I was like, all right, I'll go. So I went with him.
Yeah.
And he went, and we walked down to this little basement studio. It's called Freckles and Frills was the name of the studio. Carol and Gary Brotherson. So most amazing people. But we go. I walk down in here, and there's this hardwood floor, and clogging, if you don't know what it is, it's similar to tap dancing, but the taps are just a little bit different, and the steps are quite different. And it has its roots, go all the way back to, a lot of square dancing type stuff that happened, in the West, or excuse me, back in South, and then even back to like Irish step and things like that. So there's a lot of influence there. Long story short, I'm in there and I'm standing, and my friend is dancing, and I'm looking, and it's like the ratio of like him to cute girls was like, he was like the only guy in there. Yeah. And there was just all these like cute, 12, 13-year-old girls my age, at the time. And I was like, this is either really lame or the greatest thing, the smartest thing that you could ever do.
As a 12-year-old.
And I was like, I was taken by the power of the steps. I was taken by the music, by the rhythm of it all. I was like, man, it was just, when he was playing the drums with your feet, And so I went home that night and I was like, hey, I think I want to do this. And my mom was like, you sure? And backstory, my dad was a professional tap dancer, ballroom dancer.
Wait, what? I did not know that.
Yes, dude. Yes.
No
yes.
way. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And my mom danced as well, but my dad was a professional tap dancer. So genetically it was there, you know. So, I threw on some clogging shoes and that's started my clogging career. And clogging then I loved being on stage. I loved performing. Mm-hmm. And it happened at one, and I competed, I traveled, I did very well in clogging. I don't know how you measure that, but,
wow.
but
Yeah.
It was interesting because I went to a performance, and there was a woman there who was a dear friend of our family's, and she had read an ad in a newspaper advertising an open casting call. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what newspapers are, they're actually pieces of paper that have news on them.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore, really.
Do you have to swipe right or left to get them to turn? Or?
Yeah, you actually don't. It's paper. It's folded paper.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yes, it's ink on paper.
Gosh.
And they throw it onto your driveway. And if it rains, it's in a bag.
Unbelievable.
And so anyway, she tells my mom, she watches me perform. She's like, hey, I read this ad. And if she had never done this, I would never be an actor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she's like, I read this ad. They're advertising a Disney movie that's casting in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
You should take him. He seems like he likes to perform.
Yeah.
So my mom comes to me. She's like, would you have any interest in? I'm like, sure, let's go. We can, I'd love to be in a movie.
Yeah.
As if it was that easy. Yeah. It's like, I just show up and they give me put me in a movie. So we went on this audition. I met the casting director, who ended up being a very influential, well-known casting director named Sherry Rhodes. She's since passed away, but cast a lot of big projects, and she had a lot of connections with management companies and agencies in LA. So I read for this film. I didn't get the part. In fact, they changed the role to it ended up being a girl's part. Yeah. And but the casting director invited my mom into the room after I auditioned, and I'd never auditioned. I literally got the sides and I read it, and invited me to the room, and she said, have you? She's like, he's never acted before. And my mom's like, no. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I have. I fake sick for school, Yeah. I'm like, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But she's like, he needs to go to LA. Like, I promise, if you take him to Hollywood, he'll work. He'll be successful.
Wow.
And we thought, my mom was, of course, like, this is a scam. Like, what's the catch?
Yeah, what's the catch?
You say this to every kid.
Sure.
So we left, didn't get the part, and we kind of didn't think anything of it. Well, we get a call not long later from a manager who had been told about me, and she said, please, like, I would love to represent him. I'd love to meet him.
Really?
Please come to Hollywood.
And you were how old at the time? 13, 12? 12?
Yeah,
okay.
11, 12.
Yeah.
And, so as a family, so she was adamant. She's like, please, she's like, come for 1 month. I'll send you out on auditions. If you don't book anything, you can go home. You can say you tried. But like, I've been told that he can do this.
Yeah.
And I never and no acting classes, nothing. So my mom and, of course I got my dad and my brother and sisters, and it wasn't like an easy decision. It was a big sacrifice because I couldn't go by myself.
Yeah.
So my mom was going to have to go with me. So we decided as a family that, we'd go for 1 month and loaded up in the Mercury, in the Ford Taurus, and drove to Hollywood, lived in a little tiny studio apartment.
No way.
And I signed some contracts that day with a manager, 2 agencies, a film theatrical agent and a commercial agent. Started auditioning, and then within 2 or 3 weeks, I booked the lead in the film that started filming the following week.
You gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Which one was that one?
It's called Quest of the Delta Knights.
Oh,
so if you're in the tens of people who've ever seen that movie, you're welcome. It claim to fame. It did make it on Mystery Science Theater.
No.
So they mocked it unmercifully, which is it deserved it.
Yeah.
But and then one of my next films was Robin Hood Men in Tights. Wow. And then it was like film, commercial, TV show after, and then it just from there it was like my career just fueled my visits to LA. I spent about half the year every year since the time I was really young. Pilot season, and then the summers, shooting film and television, and that's
where
crazy. It all started.
And it's great, because the truth of it is like it's definitely a challenge, guys. I mean, we have to let people know. There's tons and tons of competition.
Yep.
And there's tons of things that like can make you feel like stressed out and feel like you're not good enough or whatever. As a kid, going in where your parents aren't the theater people, they aren't the people that like push you into doing something like this.
No.
How did you have the confidence to go and perform, especially when you haven't taken a single acting class at the time?
I think naivety was the key for me. I think if I had known early on that there were, kids that had been down there years and years trying to make it and had never booked a part, much less ever had even an agent want to represent them. And all of a sudden I have a manager, I have a few agents, I'm going out on auditions. I'm going straight to producers on these things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was just, I was connected early on with people that were connected.
Yeah.
And so much of it is who you know in a lot of
Right.
ways, because there are so many talented people. And I'm not under any illusion that I'm the greatest actor on the planet. But if I can get in a room, which is half the battle, then let me do my thing. But I think I was so naive. I assumed that's the way it was for everyone. In fact, I hesitate. People say, how'd you get into the industry? I almost hesitate telling the story because I'm like, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It was very, I'm not a big believer in meant to be. I think we make our destiny, and we, our choices kind of dictate our future, and we can make reasons for things, but I fell into a place where I was connected with good people. I had a family that was willing to sacrifice and help support, a passion that developed. The passion for pretending and acting and storytelling was there. That's just my disposition. That's just, I love to tell a story. I love,
100%.
And I was born that way.
Yeah.
And so part of it was when you ask how were you confident going into a room and performing, that's just, I pretended. And so if all you want to do is put some people in the room with pie, and you have to pretend to enjoy it, and pretend to be a good sport about it, and eventually you stop pretending. You actually end up being a good sport about it, because you recognize that sometimes if I'm not the one to tell the story, like the story should be told, and if I'm not the right guy, then it shouldn't be me. And so I think the sooner you let go of that pride that it's about you, the better it is. It's about the story, and you want to just bring your very best to the table.
Absolutely.
But that was, I think, like I said, to get back to answering your question, I think I was just ignorant. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, oh, I thought it was a smaller deal than it was. And I just didn't realize. I'm like, oh, I'd go into a room and I'd be like, there's some hugely famous, I'm like, I've seen you in a movie.
Yeah.
And it just it did not register the world I was entering.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, man. I think because I started the industry off here in Utah.
Yeah.
Right? And there just wasn't a ton of opportunities for an Indian actor to do a lot of
Indian?
things. I know it's shocking, but yes, I am from the east.
Yeah.
East,
Yeah.
Very far east, actually.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting to start out here. And I remember one of the last movies I did here in Utah before I moved to LA was called The Mine, or now it's changed to Abandoned Mine. And I was the only Utah actor cast. The rest of them were all LA, and it was like an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, they've all been in stuff like Alexa Vega. She was in Spy Kids, like those type of things. So we all became good friends, and they were all like, "Sharon, what are you doing in Utah?" And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just hanging out, I guess. They're like, no, seriously, like,
You gotta branch out.
You gotta branch out. You're not gonna have opportunities here. And so I moved to LA, totally clueless about how hard it is to get an agent and all that stuff. But somehow doors opened, and it took a couple of years. Like I'm not gonna lie about it. It was definitely challenging. But then once I kind of got the ball rolling and got on a TV show, then it was just like new agency, new auditions, and then
why did you stay? Why if it took a while and you came up against, I already know the answer, but but why did you? I mean, I know the answer for me.
Yeah.
Why did you stay? Why did you keep grinding? Well, no, not even just in LA, but why did you stay in this industry?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, it makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
Man. I love that feeling of joy, of being present, of performing, of creating characters and telling awesome stories and motivating people. But it's kind of interesting, and this is gonna all circle back to what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I loved getting parts and stuff until I stopped liking auditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those moments. I was in LA. I had achieved some great levels of success, for me anyway, I thought. And then all of a sudden, auditions started coming through, and I'm like, oh, dude, not another audition. I don't want to do this again. And I'm like, then I was like a weird like battle with my spirit. I'm like, wait a minute, but I came to LA to act. I want to act. And yet I'm staring at this audition for some probably cool TV show. And I'm just like, I felt my spirit crumbling. So I was going back and forth. What is it about it that is killing me? And kind of like goes back to what you were saying. I feel like this is not my story. Someone else is taking charge and I'm the puppet in the story.
Yeah.
And
the meaning, the purpose changed.
The purpose completely changed, right? And I remember the time when you took a hiatus from acting. And you're like, you know what? I want to go pursue medicine, which might have been a crazy thing for some agents to say, are you nuts? I mean, how did that go for your agencies when you had to tell them and stuff?
So I left and served a mission. So the first time that happened, I left for a spiritual religious mission. I served a Latter-day Saint mission in Australia. We talked about this with Sharon, actually. Yeah. And I had prepped my agent manager prior to this happening. I said, listen, when I get to be this age, chances are I'm leaving for 2 years. They're like, sure. Yeah, you will. Yeah. Well, I had a TV show, leads in multiple films. I mean, my career was like, trajectory was booming. And it just so happened to be, and I kind of knew this. I feel like I knew in my heart that this would happen, but it happened literally right before I had to make a choice. Was I going to neglect a desire and a dream and a goal that I'd had my whole life as a boy, which was to serve a mission? Mm-hmm. Was I going to not pursue, trying to do some good as a member of my church and as a believer in my faith, in trying to get out there and do something bigger than me? Or was I going to stay and just focus on my career? And I don't know that there was a wrong choice. Yeah. It was just going to be an entirely different trajectory. And I honestly don't believe I'd be who I am or where I am if I had gone the other route. Now, that happened once, and I said, hey guys, I'm leaving on a mission. And my agent was like, no. No one does this. Wait, you are going to be gone for 2 premieres of your films? Like, that's when people see you and they cast you in the next thing. And that's how careers are born. That's how you become a superstar, is you do these big films, and then that spins into the next thing, into the next thing, into the next thing. You're going to leave? No one does this. Like, what are we even working for? I mean, they were upset.
Of course.
And I said, guys, I'm sorry. It's not about me and it's not about you. Like, I have to go. And I left. And, and my career, would it be different? Sure. I mean, could I be in a totally different place? Yes. But man, heaven forbid I be in a different place. Because I'm the family I have, the friends that I have, the work I'm doing, I couldn't be happier. Mm-hmm. Now, when I left to go pursue medicine, I did that so quickly. I got to a place, the same place you did. I went on an audition. I remember I was on 200 South La Brea.
I know exactly the place. Dude, I know exactly what are you doing most commercial auditions, I feel.
Right by the Petco or whatever.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and you park on the street right behind
you.
You're
going to get a ticket. Yeah. So I was at 200 South La Brea, and I was sitting in this room, and I remember looking around, and I was already starting to, I was what you were describing a bit ago, was I was losing myself. I was losing the reason I was doing it in the first place. Yeah. And I fell into this thing like, oh, I'm just doing this because this is what I do. Yeah. Versus I have such deep passion for storytelling and influencing people's emotions. I mean, that's why we tell stories. We influence emotion. Emotion influences change, and change is what we hope. Change for the better is what we hope we can accomplish. That's why I tell stories. And I would go to this thing and I'm like, all I'm trying to do, and I'm sitting there and I'm hearing all these actors and I'm realizing like I'm relating less and less to them. Yeah. Everything that they were saying was that they were just talking about themselves. And I felt and I was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be so self-absorbed and talking about myself. I'm like, I'm relating less and less to this. And I was starting to hate it. And I was like, I wanted to say, guys, like who are we kidding? Like, we're here auditioning for commercials so we can like pay our rent. Yeah. Like no one's, like we are just, picking up crumbs. We're like trying to survive this industry that was just a crushing industry. And I left then, and I had a great conversation with some family members, friends, and people who, who are very close to me and support me. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this medicine thing. And I'd been actually trying to go to school. I'd enroll, and then I'd have to withdraw because I'd get a job and it would interfere. So I'm like, I'm never going to go to school unless I actually leave, cut ties and go to school. Yeah. So it was literally over the course of a week. I mean, semester was starting the following week. I was like,
and you were married.
This is my wife, Mackenzie. I had one
Okay.
kid, Wyatt, at the time. And I was like, babe, I'm like, I've got to do, I'm losing my soul here. I'm like, I need to do something that makes me feel alive. And I don't right now. I'm like, will you follow, like, can you, my wife was heartbroken because she knows how much I love storytelling and love film stuff, but she loves me. And she's like, I'll go anywhere with you. I'll live in a tent with you. I'll live on the side of a mountain with you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever you need to feel. It's my anniversary today, so I hit the jackpot with my wife. Let me just say, 16 years, and man, she just keeps getting better. But I digress. So anyway, I jump in the car and I load it up, and I'm like, I'm starting school and I'm driving. I called my agent from my car leaving Hollywood, and left a voicemail.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I said, I'm out. I said, thanks for everything you've done. I don't mean any disrespect, but I have to, this is for this salvaging my soul.
Yeah.
And my mental, my psychological like well-being,
Yeah.
And I called and I said, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm going to school. I'm enrolling full-time. I'm a full-time student. We didn't know where we were going to live. We didn't know what we were going to do. I didn't know how I was going to like support my family. None of it. Yeah. And I was like, but I have to do something that makes me feel alive. It feels like I'm doing more. So I left. I never heard from that agent. Didn't call me, nothing. I mean, there was like obviously some bitterness, but I get it.
Totally.
But it wasn't, unfortunately, the reality is for that agent, it wasn't about them either. And it can't be. And so I left and I did school and pursued healthcare. But the crazy thing is, my life has evolved so much now that I feel like my experience in healthcare, working in emergency medicine, my family, the way my family has evolved and grown, and some of the challenges that we faced as a family, has just lent itself to me being a much better actor and a much better storyteller. My life experience is so much more rich. Yeah. And I get to draw from that when I'm telling stories now.
Well, it's interesting because I knew when I left LA, because some people are like, oh, I was too hard, I gave up. And I'm like, no, it's not even about that. I literally wanted to create my own stuff. I had such a powerful desire to create my own stuff because I knew that was what was going to make me feel alive. Yeah. And that concept of being alive, I think that's such an important thing because so many times we choose to do things because other people tell us that's what you should be doing. Yes. And you have a narrative in your head and you're like, oh yeah, I should be doing this.
I'm an actor.
So I got to go do these auditions because that's what my manager or my agent told me to do. Right. And
if you do stop, everybody was throwing the quit word at me. You're like, oh yeah, he quit the business. Yeah. I was like, no, the business isn't going anywhere. Yeah. And my ability to perform as an actor isn't going anywhere. To tell stories isn't going anywhere. I'm not quitting anything. Yeah. I'm building my life experience. I am trying to enrich my life. I'm trying to feel more alive in my life. Yeah. That'll make me better in every capacity. Spectrum. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because even when we reconnected, because it had been years since we chatted from Corbin Allred, the actor, to also doing medicine and everything. But it was interesting because I remember reconnecting with you and having a conversation and thinking, man, the Corbin Allred that I know now is not that he's a better person. He's just much more full, has a much deeper sense of life and a sense of purpose and a sense of understanding. Right. And that was excuse me, that was a really beautiful thing. It's interesting though, because when I came back to Utah, I came back fully for the reasons of I want to create my own show. I'm going to do it. And it's just been amazing. And that feeling of coming alive and drawing upon friends and family and people that I love to work in projects and stuff. It's just been an incredible blessing. But what has been really great is the chance that we've had a chance to work together, first in this movie, Alien Country. And it was so fun working with you, man, and just seeing you do your thing. It was just awesome. I loved
Feelings
it.
Are mutual.
No, seriously, it was so great because we hadn't ever acted before or even really done it. Yeah, exactly. And I remember it was a great experience and we had a lot of fun and did some really cool things and excited for that movie to come out. But I remember, and when I was working at the lemonade stand and doing podcasts, Greg Trimble was telling me, he's like, Sharon, online courses are the next thing. You've got to create an online course. Yeah. You've got to, he's like, have you ever thought about creating an acting course? that night was just monumental for me. I remember exactly where I was sitting when he asked me about that.
Yeah.
And as he told me that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was just like, everything in me came alive. Okay. It just came alive. And I said, yes. And I said, but I've got a couple of people I need to bring on this course immediately. Like, he's like, oh, really? And I said, yes. Corbin Allred and Jasen Wade. And their first things were like, wait, do you know them? And I'm like, absolutely. And I said, those guys have already created something. And I don't know if they're actually continuing because of COVID. I'm pretty sure Corbin said that COVID had stopped them.
Yeah.
But can you talk a little bit about like that night or what happened?
Oh yeah. Well, so I mean, getting back to what you said about you want to make your own content. I think that's an important. You don't want to make your own stuff, and I think that's where we've all kind of come to. We've realized that I think there's so much stuff that is waiting to come out of us that is going to bless and build and lift the lives of other people. That we knew that those stories were never going to be told if they were kept within us. So there's a million things in each of us that are just waiting to come out, and they won't exist. The world is going to be barren of those things unless we put them out there. Yeah. And
so can I just tell you, like, honest, I got a side note. Just working with you and like seeing how your imagination works, it's unbelievable. Like, just like every day, it's like, Sharon, I got this thing for you. And the next thing I know, there's the script. The script is written for this idea that you had in your head just hours earlier. And I'm like, what? Like, this is unbelievable. But it's like, it's an endless supply. It's an endless supply of stories. It's unbelievable.
It's endless.
Yeah.
And I feel though, it was not coming to light in my other life. Yeah. I mean, in my life, in Hollywood, it was just, I was grinding and I was waiting for validation to be given to me by other people. I was waiting to be needed by somebody that needed my acting ability versus me having these ideas, this gift for storytelling, whatever, being an actor, being a director, being a writer. And now it's blowing up to where I'm every component of the story I'm a part of. And, but I think it was interesting. So Jasen Wade, who's a dear friend of mine, we actually met originally at like my wedding reception years and years ago. He was dating somebody, one of our friends.
So amazing.
Which we didn't remember until just recently. But Jasen and I did Saints and Soldiers Airborne Creed together. Amazing actor. I remember hearing that he was doing a film. And I was like, oh, great. I got to compete with this guy. I mean, he's just so talented, so good. And we became very good, long, fast friends. And we did another film together, Out of Liberty, quite recently.
Yes.
And which was just amazing. And long story short, I relocated from Portland, Oregon, where I went to my medical program, went to a PA program out there, and I practiced out there for several years. But knowing that I wanted to get back into storytelling, back into film, back into content creation, and just bringing joy to people, feeling alive myself, which is, I think, bringing joy to others is the only way we can feel alive ourselves. And so I moved back to Southern Utah to get back kind of in the industry. Here, I know everybody, I have contacts, I was like, this is where I need to do it. Mm-hmm. Well, Jasen relocates back to Cedar City, which is 45 minutes from me.
Unbelievable.
Right? Sharon moves back to Utah. Yeah, all of this happening in fairly tight parameters. In fact, that film Out of Liberty is where you and I reconnected, had this incredible conversation that was something that I needed more than anything at the time. I mean, life-changing, monumental. Sharon had some insight that literally just things that he'd learned about life and about spirituality and about that I needed to hear because I was going through some hard, challenging things in my life and my extended family. But anyway, we're all in the same state. We're all like close to each other. So Jasen, I reached out to Jasen. I was like, Jasen, I texted Jasen and I said, Jasen, have you ever thought about teaching an acting course? And Jason's like, dude, he's like, all I needed you to do was say that. He's like, I'm too unsure of myself to like just do it by myself. Yeah. He's like, I've been wanting to do this for so long. His wife Holly, who's just amazing. She's like, yeah, let's do. My wife so supportive. So Jasen and I put this thing together. Well, it's very small scale. It's Southern Utah. We basically just did a little ad. We blasted it out to people locally. We said, listen, we're gonna Jasen Wade, Corbin Allred. We've done a few films. We have some experience. Like we want to share what we know. Yeah. Like we've got this bottled up information about acting that we'd love to share. And we put together this beautiful class, this, 20, 25 people signed up. We couldn't have gone any bigger. Like we were capped,
Yeah.
and we got 2 classes into a 5-week course, and COVID shut us down. So we started to feel like, we're like, oh my gosh, we have so much material.
Yeah.
Like there's so much stuff we know that we don't even remember we know. We don't even know we know.
Yeah.
It just comes out of us because we've been doing this. I mean, Jasen and I together, 40, 50 years we've been doing this.
Yeah.
And we just get shut down. And COVID, and we're like, when do we start back up? I'm working in the ER. I'm seeing COVID patients. We're like, when is it fair to get back together? You can't really do a remote, Zoom acting course. You lose, this is a lot of this work has to be intimate. And it basically, like our dreams were dashed. We're like, gosh, dang it. Now we were still working on other projects. There's still other things happening. And then in comes Charon Prabhakar. Sharon's like, hey guys. And he'd heard it. You knew we were doing acting class.
I knew you were the course. Yeah.
And Greg Trimble, who I hadn't known before, and I met now, and Derek, these guys at Lemonade Stand, man, these guys are the real deal. When you were talking about Greg saying, hey, courses, courses are the thing. It's not because courses are these like crazy lucrative things. It's not about money at all.
Yeah.
It is courses, like people are wanting what they want their lives to be blessed by experiences, stories, skills, whatever they can learn. They're doing it from home. They're doing it from their office. They're doing it. And so really the reason that to do an online course is to just bless and inspire people who would not otherwise be able to do that or may not have access. They could be in a small town. Their acting classes are shut down, whatever it is.
Yeah. So, or maybe they're a little self-conscious. They just want to
they're just too shy. They just want to get it at home.
Yeah.
And so Charon's like, guys,
I'm
working with these guys at Lemonade Stand. They're awesome. You'll never meet better guys on the planet. And if Charon says that, it's saying it's legit. You can take it to the bank. And he's like, we're thinking about putting an online acting course together.
Yeah.
Jasen and I, we were like kids in the candy shop.
Oh
we're
my
like,
gosh.
dude, we have it all. Like we already have like the curriculum. We're ready. And then it just,
dude, it was like the most massive.
It's like the heavens opened, and we were like,
unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so great because I knew for sure you guys already had it mapped out and planned and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, how do we make this happen? And I knew what my skills were, which was I knew I can help produce this thing. I knew I can help edit this thing.
Of course. Well, you're an actor too.
And I'm an actor as well.
Credits and
absolutely, right?
It's not a bunch of slouches teaching an acting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I've done shows as well. But I knew that with the three of us, first off, I knew we'd have so much freaking fun. It would be unbelievable.
Chemistry's there.
Yeah, it was definitely there. So it was hilarious because I think I hit you and Jasen up separately, actually, the very first time. And or whatever it was, and Jasen was like, dude, I'm in. I'm totally in. We just have to convince Corbin. And I'm like, I don't think it's gonna be that hard. and so I remember talking to you, and you were like, dude, I'm all in. I'm totally all in.
Let's go.
We have to do it. And it's just been so much fun putting this whole thing together. And it was crazy because, we were kind of coming down to the wire, and I went to Cedar City to come see you guys, and we were so excited to see each other.
That we didn't do what we were supposed to do.
We did not do what we were set out to do. We talked about aliens.
Aliens for about 4 hours.
For 4 hours, and then
we were supposed to be buckling down doing work.
Completely. Yeah. So that did not happen.
We're never going to get this.
No. And so there was a part of me that says, I know it's going to come together. I have no idea how. Because we only had a week more, and then we're going to be filming.
Yeah.
And then Jasen was a little unsure. He's like, do we need to push back? And you're like, no way. We're going for it. And I just remember the last week, it was like Blitz week, right?
Yep.
And you guys came over to my house like 2 days before we were shooting.
Till
like
the wee hours of the morning.
1 a.m., working on this thing. But then we got together and we filmed, and it was like magic, man.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was so unbelievable.
Well, and we wanted to approach this in a way that was going to be that everybody can feel comfortable joining us for this.
Yes.
This is a place where you better feel pretty darn safe, because we mock each other unmercifully.
Yes.
We mock ourselves unmercifully. Yeah. Because one of the things that I think is the biggest turnoff, I think, for all of us about the film industry is how elite it may
Yes.
seem, and how kind of pretentious
Yeah.
many people are, and how we want to have an atmosphere. We want to create an atmosphere of safety where people can just feel safe,
Yes.
being themselves and pretending. Just make believe, and get into that flow state that we talk about in the course. It was so fun. We got into it because we burned through.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there were about there were almost 500 slides
Right.
that were on the teleprompter, and we got through most of those.
3 times though.
Yes. Yeah, we right. We had to do it like multiple takes.
Yeah.
And we did it in one day.
One day.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was a long day, but
Lesser men would have taken much longer.
Yes.
Or
of course.
quit early.
Yes.
Or succumbed to the fatigue.
Which we almost did.
Yeah, it's true.
Multiple times. No, it was unbelievable, because by the end of that first day, we like looked at each other and we're like, wait a minute, did that really just go down? Did we really like pound those out?
Did we really have that much information?
Yes.
That came from just life experience. This isn't us like jumping into a bunch of textbooks and teaching theory and doing this. This is like, these are the actual things we do as actors when we're getting ready to play a part.
Yeah.
Or when we're playing, or when we're doing improv, or whatever it is, or when we're just having fun at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I remember it took us 3 days to film the course. And the third day we were actually, it was a little bit nerve wracking because we were in another stage and we had like a bunch of students and we're like, oh crap. Like now our people are like, listen to our shenanigans. And the fun that people had during that time when we were filming, it just flowed like so quickly. So much so that I remember my friend Rochelle came up to me and she talked to you about it as well. And she was just saying, you know what? Like, I have been to acting classes before. I've done improv games and I hate it. I hate them. I came
feel so uncomfortable.
I feel so
don't
uncomfortable.
Know why I'm doing it.
Don't know why I'm doing it. But she's like, I just came to support you. And then all of a sudden she's like, but I had so much fun. I felt totally safe. She did say that. She said she felt safe. And she said she also felt she understood the purpose by why we were doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
Which is huge, dude. Which is so huge.
And it also transcends just acting. Like, it translates to our life, our interpersonal relationships, and the way that we interact with each other.
Yeah.
Like, if you and I talk and you weren't privy to something that I experienced, the only way I can share it with you is through telling a story.
Absolutely.
And we're just trying to create an atmosphere where people can share and feel connected. I mean, it's all about connection.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I felt from her when Rochelle spoke about it, is she felt like she connected with the information. She connected with why she was playing the games, why we were doing these activities. She connected with the other actors. She connected with us. Yeah. And man, that was, when she said that, I took that straight to my heart. I was like, okay, I think this will be something special, and hopefully people love it.
But I remember, it's interesting because Jason kept coming to me. He's like, Sharon, he's like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm so sorry that you have to edit all these things. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? I'm freaking stoked I get to edit all these things. Because I love editing. And also because I just knew that now I can kind of see the birth of of what we created. And the truth was, I didn't know if it was going to work. I still didn't know, because I felt that there was great chemistry when we were performing. And even when like our dear friend Eve, who was doing makeup and everything, she came to us and she's like, yeah, Sharon, you guys have great chemistry. It's like really fun. Made me feel good. But to edit that and then to send it to you guys and just to see the amount of text explosions on my phone from you, like, dude, this is it. This is amazing. It was so great. It was so fun. And then I remember you shared it with your family. Jason shared it with his family. And granted, they are family, but it's like they were all like stoked about it. But then we've been kind of showing it around to other people, and people are just like dying laughing.
I'd take this course.
That's exactly what they said. Like, they're like, dude, like, I would totally take this course, right? Yeah. And I'm like,
please take the course.
Guys, seriously.
Please.
Seriously.
Make it worth it.
Acting out. How did you come up with that name, by the way? Because you came up with that name,
blasting,
right?
We were blasting names back and forth to each other. We're like, well, this, that. And I think acting out, we were talking, we wanted to make sure that it was very clear that it was an acting course. But we also wanted to make sure, like, acting out, to me, I've got kids, everybody knows people who act out.
Yeah.
And acting out's kind of one of those things that it implies that you're taking what would be an acceptable emotional disposition and you're acting outside of it. You're stepping outside a comfort zone. And so if you act out, if my kids act out at the store, they're drawing attention to themselves. They're being themselves and they're just whatever. It might be that they're being playful, they're running around, they're screaming, they're whatever it is. And so acting out, I think for me, it means not being afraid to draw attention to ourselves, not being afraid to step outside, to make the outside of our comfort zone right now the inside of our comfort zone. And so that's where I feel like acting out, the name acting out means to me, it's like, let's just all act out a little bit. Let's take the norm, let's take what we do every single day, and let's just do something a little bit more rich, a little bit more fun, and make ourselves feel a little bit more joy, a little bit more alive, right?
I love that. So what is your hope with the course?
Man, I would love for, well, a few things. I would love for acting to feel accessible to everyone. And right now, I think sometimes we feel like if you're acting and you aren't working, if you aren't in a movie, a TV show, auditioning, if you don't have an agent, a manager, if you're not in play, if you don't have, headshots and you're getting out there, that acting is not an outlet for you. That acting really isn't going to be a therapeutic thing that could bring you joy. I want to dispel that. I want to make sure that people know that I don't care if you're an actor or not. You can do some of these things and it will help you be a better communicator. It will help you tell a story better. When people tell stories better, there's much more connection that goes on. We connect with the people we're telling the story to. We connect with the people who the story is about. So I want everyone to understand that there's actually something in this. It's an acting course, but there's something in this for everyone.
Absolutely.
I would love it to be a place where maybe people are feeling more intimidated. You brought that up, feeling intimidated, feeling too scared to actually do it. I would love to have it be a start for them. And there'll be more. We're going to hopefully put out a bunch more material, and then you can continue with us. But hopefully it will open up, kind of crack people out of their shells a little bit in a safe environment and let them experiment with acting. Let them experiment with that sort of storytelling. And then people like in smaller towns and in places where, they can't get into an acting class, or COVID shut your acting class down. It's over. Like it was for us, like our students, now we can say, oh guys, I know our course is done, but you can take this. You're still going to get this material. So I'd love for people in a smaller town who may not have an outlet or a theater company or somebody that they can play with, improv company, that they can just create it in their living room with members of their family, with their friends. Play it with your kids. Do these things with your kids. Do these exercises with your kids. I want people to understand that creativity and storytelling to me, it's one of the most powerful things that we can do as human beings. And that's what I want to share with this.
Dude, that's so great. And the purpose behind it all, right, is ultimately to bring joy to people.
That's it.
And to have a lot of people feel that positivity and kindness, because
build and bless.
That's the message of Lemonade Stand, right? And we know that, last year and this year, they have been some very tough times for people. And I actually kind of want to wrap things up and ask you a couple questions about that. It's like, it has been a tough year for people last year and this year.
Definitely.
How have you found joy in your own life?
I found a lot of joy with this. I found a lot of joy in writing, in creativity. I think the way that I found the most joy is the sooner I forget myself and I try to make my life's purpose about helping other people find joy. That is how we find joy. It is a very difficult thing to be self-absorbed and selfish and satisfied and feel, joyful in life. I don't think that's the way we're meant to live. And whether you're religious or not, I find that it's very difficult, I think, for people when they're engaging in an act of service for someone in need, when they're doing something kind, when they're being a friend to people who have few. It's very difficult in those circumstances to not feel joy. And hopefully people that see our course will feel like they're our friends. They'll feel like we are giving them a thumbs up just on who they are. Be yourself. And we're giving you 2 big thumbs up to just be yourself and be okay with it and love yourself. But I think joy for me comes by and through giving of myself to others. I try to do it in the emergency room. I try to take care of people who are having their worst day. That brings me joy when I feel like I can make a difference. Yeah. My family brings me joy. Just their existence. My wife and my kids are the greatest things that ever, the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But when I'm the happiest with them, it's when I'm doing things that I know are going to help them and bless their life. So I think forgetting yourself is the thing. Forgetting myself is the thing that brings me joy. And that's why I love doing things like this and giving of myself to others.
Dude, we could talk forever. This is unbelievable. I'm getting so much information that is blessing my own soul. So I appreciate you sharing all the things you're sharing. If you could go back in time and talk to the young Corbin Allred, the one that's barely getting into acting, life is full of dreams and whatnot, what advice would you give that Corbin?
I would give that Corbin the exact advice Sharon Prabhakar gave me.
Oh gosh, I don't remember what I gave you.
And I would say, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I would say to myself, and I've played this game. I've had times where I've been able to kind of glimpse myself and picture myself as a little boy with all the insecurities and all the things that I was going through in my life, and the trauma and the experiences that we all kind of go through as children. And I would tell that young man, I still struggle with it now. I mean, there's still days where it's, it's easier than others, but I would tell that kid that to quit searching for fulfillment, quit searching for validation, quit trying so hard to measure up and to be enough.
Yeah.
And I would tell that little guy, listen, you're already there. You can't be more valuable than you are. You can't be more validated. You can't be more important or more special. You can't. The only thing you can do is add upon yourself. The only thing you can do is build yourself. And then with that, you all you're doing is giving of yourself to bless the world. You don't need anyone to tell you to be more than you are. You are already there. You've achieved it. And this is for everybody. Yeah. You've achieved it. So I would tell myself to quit trying so hard. And instead of trying so hard, just love yourself, accept that you are already infinitely important, infinitely loved, infinitely valuable. And then take that, feel empowered by it, and then take every talent you have and give it away. And that's what I'm hoping we can do with this.
Dude, can't think of a better note than that to end this podcast. This has been amazing, dude. Seriously.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
And I'm really excited for Acting Out to go and bless the world. It's gonna be
absolutely
amazing.
Acting out.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks,
you so
brother.
much for the Lemonade Stand.
Love you, buddy.
Take care. You too. Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much, and have a great day.